Hey there. In this video I'd like to talk about the optimum approach to recovering from illness or injury. And in particular, I'd like to offer advice to those who are on a dedicated path of self-development. People who are looking to express their full potential on all levels in this lifetime. Now, if we look at the life of all living beings, we can see that injury and illness tends to be experienced by them at some point, whether it be an animal catching a disease or a tree having its branch broken off. This means that it's very important that we have strategies and skills that we can use to help us recover from such setbacks. Now, if you are very dedicated to training your mind and your body, they become healthy, resilient, strong and adaptable. And it means you don't tend to get ill or get injured anywhere near as much as most people. This can mean that when it does happen, it catches you out and you don't have any coping mechanisms for it, and it puts you in a very uncomfortable position. Likewise, if your focus in life is on self-development, on improvement, and you need to put that on hold for a while and approach things in a more gentle way, this can be psychologically hard. So the first thing I want to make clear for anyone who's watching this video and is in such a circumstance is that you need to make your recovery from illness or your healing of an injury part of your self-development. It needs to be a learning experience. Often there are lessons found in such events, and you can learn not only more about a part of your body, how it works, how best to look after it, but you can also use that information to see what could have caused such an unwanted outcome, so that in the future you approach things in a better way. Often I find that if I don't learn a lesson, then it comes out in another way later on. So try to view this as an evolutionary experience, a chance for you to learn and adapt and to gain greater insight into whatever's happening. Now, one of the first lessons that it may be important to learn is a different approach. Training to improve yourself involves working on the borderlines. So if you want to be stronger and lift more weights, you need to practice to failure. This is the only way the muscle's going to grow. If you want to be more flexible, you need to make sure you're on the limits of your range of movement. If you want to improve your focus, you need to make sure that you are adding extra challenge to your exercises or increasing the amount of time you're focusing on something. This approach is universal, it's across the board and applies to all areas where you want to increase your capabilities. And it's quite forceful and involves pushing up against your limitations. Healing, however, isn't forceful. It involves being gentle and leaving extra. You need to make sure there's always a little bit left to be used to bring about that healing. And you want to make sure you're not ever going anywhere near the borderlines of your ability, so that you overtax a already stressed and compromised system. So how do we learn to be gentle when we're used to being forceful? The best way I've found is to use compassion. Be compassionate to yourself or to your injury in the same way you would to others. Imagine how you would treat someone you cared about. Maybe if this helps, you could imagine a vulnerable person. Imagine what you would advise a child with a similar situation to do. Obviously you want to make sure there's enough stimulation to bring around a healing effect, but you don't ever want to be putting yourself through unnecessary and counterproductive hardships. So approaching in this manner, viewing the injury or illness as an experience we can learn from, and using a gentle, compassionate way of viewing the situation, how do we make the ideal circumstance that brings around the healing? Well, the first thing we need to do is to make sure that the environment is right. And by environment, I mean the big picture. You need to set up your life so that there's the highest probability of recovery. This means you need to make sure that you are resting enough, that you are getting the right kind of stimulation that is inspiring and puts you in the right state of mind. You need to make sure you're eating the ideal diet, you're drinking enough liquids. You need to get away from any habits which don't bring health into your life. You need to make sure that your body is being exercised gently so there's enough circulation and everything remains healthy without putting any unnecessary strain on that individual body part or on anything that is affected by the illness that you are seeking to overcome. Think of this as making sure that the seed that you're going to plant, which is the recovery, has soil that can actually grow in. And this applies on all levels. So if you are going to do something energetically to bring around health, start by bringing around health of the whole being before you start to work on specifics. During this time, research. Really learn about it. And there are different ways you can investigate the cause of the illness or the nature of the problem. Make sure you do consult with experts that specialise in this, and they will both be able to give you advice as to how to understand the illness, but also how to recover from it. Likewise, this can give you an insight into how to prevent it in the future. Research. Don't just go on one person's opinion. Really research until you've got it. You really know how everything works and how everything isn't working and how you can move one from the other. And then finally, contemplate. Contemplate this. Enter into the mystery of this setback and how you can grow something good from this seed. This is very important, and because without fully understanding what the problem is, your approach could be misdirected. I know of one practitioner who's actually a healer, a very powerful healer, who using his breath could just lay hands upon someone and it would bring a recovery. Well, this healer got a terrible injury in the leg. Pain started to appear just on the thigh and it felt like a pulled muscle. So for weeks he dedicated himself to breathing healing energy directly into the muscle. But nothing happened. With growing confusion, frustration and doubt, he redoubled his efforts, only to find weeks later that there was a problem in his back. It was a nerve problem which was leading to the illusion of pain in the leg. He'd been focusing on the complete wrong area. If this practitioner had focused on the big picture, had been filling the whole being full of health for every body part, this would have had a better result. And wouldn't it have been wonderful to have fully researched through various means to gain the awareness before putting all that effort into healing what he perceived to be the problem? So once you've created the environment, you've identified the problem clearly, and now it's time for you to plant the seed. So this needs to be an approach on many levels. People tend to think very simplistically. One thing caused it, it's a specific symptom, this is the cure. So one cause, one illness, one cure. It's not like that in life. Everything's interconnected. So multiple factors cause multiple outcomes, and we need to use every tool that we possibly can in order to bring our recovery. So that seed doesn't just need to be watered, it needs to have fertiliser, it needs to be at the right temperature, it needs to have some sunlight. We put everything we can into recovering from that injury or illness. So it could be that you have medicine to take, or you have rehabilitation exercises to do. It could be that you're going to apply hot and cold compresses, or there'll be a massage. There could be other things that you need to make sure happen which are directly going to affect that illness or that area, and they need to be repeated. So just like to grow a plant we need to keep watering, the sun comes every day, we need to keep this up. Now once we've got all this happening, we've got the right environment, we've got all the different factors that will bring around a recovery, we need to let go to some degree for that regeneration to happen. It's understandable when we have something that's hurting or getting in our way for our mind to come to it again and again. But what I've found is that if you are fearful it's not going to go, if you're resentful of its presence, if you keep thinking about it in a frustrating, negative way, you grasp onto it. It's almost like you're holding on to the illness through these emotions. And it gets in the way of your healing intent. So this is quite tricky, and it sounds quite paradoxical, but you need to accept the state of things in order to let them move on. It's almost like the acceptance is how you let go of it. So make sure that you are working round whatever's happening and you're still managing to engage with the world in a positive way. You're not putting your life on hold until after that injury recovers or the illness has gone. That you're still managing to find something positive, and you're managing to interact as much as you can in the way you want to. And accept that it takes time for change to happen. And recovery is often non-linear, so it's not like you put in the effort and there's a graph, it gets better every day. It can be up and down and then suddenly completely recover, or you put in the effort and it just does it. So it can be interesting to see how this healing comes about, but you need to be not only gentle in your approach and compassionate with your view of the injury, you need to be gentle in your emotional approach and make sure that you don't build up pressure through expectations and be counterproductive to your goal. Once you've got these three in place, then I believe you've created the optimum circumstance for healing or recovery. You've got the right environment, you've got the right treatment, and you've let go of any of the negative connections with the state that you want to go. As you persist in this maintaining the right environment and the right treatment, be sure to keep learning. Remain aware and keep looking for slight improvements to your approach, whether that be backing off a bit or applying a bit more effort, whether that mean changing the treatment that you are undertaking. And I believe that through this approach you can achieve the recovery that you seek in the best possible time and in the most comprehensive way. My name's Martin Folks, and I hope that this video has been of use to anyone going through such a hardship. Until next time, let's let every word, thought and action count.